There's a chance that Brian Koberger could be exonerated, and Dylan Mortensen and all of her sketchy friends are indeed the reason why. Sketchy because they have all been caught lying since the beginning, and the internet is not done talking about it until all the right people are behind bars. At 3:20 in the morning, someone appears on the street walking towards the dumpster. This is at the porch cam now, which is 1112. There is a dumpster kind of at the end of the driveway. Someone appears on the street walking towards that dumpster. It sounds like it opens. You could hear that from the other camera too, like the sound of the dumpster, and takes a look. That whoever that is takes a look around in the dumpster, walks away to the right, and at the same time we have an active peeping Tom from the window of 1119. At 3:20, I feel like we hear Murphy's name. Unclear noises from the Linda Lane parking. At the same time, something is moving. I can't see it by the edge of the gate from the Linda Lane parking as well. It sounds like someone is walking to the left past the houses, past Linda Lane parking. At 3:22 in the morning, we still have active peeping Tom at 1119. I mean, aren't they tired? A car will pass on the Linda Lane dumpster at that exact same time, and a cat is seen at Linda Lane parking at that exact same time. At 3:22 in the morning and 33 seconds, two females are going to leave 1112. Again, I call it the porch cam. One of them has a black purse, a backpack, silver chain. A other girl with, I think, green pants. I believe one's blonde, one brunette. They're seen leaving the porch. And you can hear them actively say, I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything. Okay, that's very, very, very strange. At 3:23 in the morning, they start their vehicle. You can hear something beep at that exact same time from the Linda Lane dumpster camera. The cat is back at the same time. You can hear the beeping from the Linda Lane parking as well, and possibly someone coughing at that time. At 3:24, finally that vehicle is now gone from the porch cam. You can hear an exhaust beep from the Linda Lane dumpster at this time, and a car will also pass the dumpster. You can hear walking from the Linda Lane parking at the exact same time. At 3:27 in the morning, we have unclear conversations. We still have active Tom. We have light movement by the edge of the gate, right side, middle of the Linda Lane parking. At 3:28 in the morning, we have light movement and sounds, door sounds from the Linda Lane parking. At 3:29 in the morning, we still have active Tom. At 3:30 in the morning, a car will pass 1112. Is this the Elantra? I believe this is the Elantra. Car lights are seen from the Linda Lane parking at the exact same time. At 3:31 in the morning and 3:32, unclear conversation. 3:33, that car passes again. I believe this is the Elantra. At 3:33, someone is going to leave 1119 in the exact same direction. At 3:33 in the morning, at the exact same time, Dylan Mortensen adds a photo to her VSCO account. At 3:38 in the morning, that Elantra will pass again, 1112, which again is the porch cam in my opinion. That's what I call it. And then you see lights in a car from the left side from the Linda Lane parking. So it all makes sense. At 3:40 in the morning, that Elantra leaves active peeping Tom at 1119. At 3:43 in the morning, loud vehicle is heard from Linda Lane parking with two doors slamming. At 3:45 in the morning, another car door slams, steps, another door slamming from the Linda Lane parking, and a male voice in conversation. At 3:46 in the morning, the DoorDash driver, which is Molly, has now arrived to the area. At that exact same time, you could hear someone walking around the Linda Lane parking. At 3:48 in the morning, unclear male conversations heard from Linda Lane parking. At 3:49, the same thing, unclear conversations. At 3:50, I can see human movement from the left corner of Linda Lane parking. At 3:51 in the morning, Dylan Mortensen adds a new contact to her phone, and we now know that is Brittany Fernandez Fermanda. So that's Brittany. It's very interesting that her initials are BF as well. So at that exact same time that Dylan Mortensen adds Brittany to her phone, Molly, the DoorDash driver, is seen walking around. You can see her on 1112, trying to find the King Roadhouse. She's walking on the street. She's basically in between the dumpster and the vehicles, but she's still on the street. She's got her phone or her flashlight out. You can see it, but she walks away. At 3:54 in the morning, Molly, the DoorDash driver, receives a text from the customer. Are you having trouble finding it? At 3:56 in the morning, that Elantra is back again. You can see it on the porch cam. At 3:56/3:57 in the morning, you can see a car with lights on at the upper right of the Linda Lane parking cam. At 3:58, that Elantra leaves. At 3:59 in the morning, the DoorDash order has been confirmed delivered. At 3:59, you can hear a car beeping at that exact same time from the 1112, and you can also hear the car beeping from the Linda Lane parking camera as well. At 4 o'clock in the morning and 27 seconds, you can hear more beeping from the Linda Lane parking. At 4 o'clock in the morning and 44 seconds, Molly is leaving the area in her vehicle. We have an active peeping Tom at 1119. Now, remind yourselves, David B. said that he left the area around 4 o'clock in the morning. His own words, not mine, because something felt off. So, David B., if you could please identify which car is yours. You know? It'd be really nice. So at 4:04 in the morning, the Elantra enters once again. At 4:05, we have an active peeping Tom at 1119. At the exact same time, a car with lights is seen from the Linda Lane parking. It sits for a few and then moves, which makes sense because at 4:06 from the porch cam 1112, a Elantra stops, stalls kind of in the middle of the street to the left of 1119 before it turns back down the road. It does not leave the area. It can't, right? At 4:07 in the morning from the Linda Lane parking, you can see a car with its lights on. Now, remind yourselves that this is where the unalivings have to start according to Dylan Mortensen and anybody who believes this, okay? Now it starts. It has to start now. It has to start now. At 4:12 in the morning, Xana is on TikTok. So she's on TikTok at 4:12 in the morning. At 4:13, I don't hear anything. At 4:17, I hear Murphy barking. He could have been barking, a minute or two before this, but at 4:17, I hear Murphy barking. At 4:17, I hear a thud and a noise followed by a bark, and you can hear a car from the Linda Lane parking cam at the same time at 4:17. At 4:19 in the morning, Bethany Funk calls Dylan Mortensen for 23 seconds. At that same time, a car is passing the Linda Lane dumpster camera. At 4:20 in the morning, the Elantra is now speeding out. You can see it leave. So now remind yourselves that Brian Kohberger has now left at 4:20 in the morning. So between 4:07 and 4:20, they're saying this happened, that he was able to clean everything up and 100 plus stab wounds. So now BK is gone. At that exact same time that Elantra is speeding out, Dylan Mortensen will call Xana. Dylan Mortensen will then call Kaylee. And then in the same minute, 4:20, Dylan Mortensen will call Bethany Funk for 41 seconds. Now, this is supposedly when a masked man is now seen leaving, according to Dylan. At 4:21 in the morning, Bethany Funk will call Xana. At 4:21 and 50 seconds, Dylan Mortensen calls Madison. 4:22 a.m., Bethany Funk calls Ethan. Now this is all within 4:22. Dylan Mortensen to Bethany Funk, no one is answering. Again, I'm really confused right now. Again, this is Dylan. Now she's going to text Kaylee. Kaylee, just her name. Kaylee. And then at 4:22 and 43 seconds, Dylan Mortensen will text Kaylee again what's going on. At this exact same time, we have car lights and movement, doors slamming from the Linda Lane parking camera. Murphy is actively barking after this time, even though BK is supposedly gone. And the car has been seen gone. At 4:23 in the morning, Bethany Funk has an outgoing message on Snapchat. Who is she talking to? At 4:23, Bethany Funk to Dylan Mortensen. Yeah, dude, WTF. Bethany to Dylan, Xana was wearing all black. Dylan Mortensen to Bethany, I'm freaking out right now. Dylan to Bethany, no, it's like a ski mask almost. Same minute, 4:23. This is Bethany Funk to Dylan, STFU. And then seconds later, actually, 4:23, same minute, Dylan to Bethany. Like he had something over his forehead and little in mouth. Dylan to Bethany, I'm not kidding, I'm so freaked out. Bethany Funk to Dylan, so am I. And then Dylan to Bethany, phone is going to die, FUCK. And then this is where Bethany to Dylan, come to my room. Bethany to Dylan, run. Bethany to Dylan, down here. Dylan Mortensen will now call Ethan after that. This is still the same minute at 4:24. Dylan to Bethany, it was clarified. She's misspelt it, but it's supposed to say I'm scared though. At 4:24 in the morning, at this exact same time, a car is seen going the other way on the Linda Lane dumpster camera. At 4:25 in the morning and 16 seconds, Bethany Funk to Dylan Mortensen. Yeah, I know, but it's better than being alone. How would she know that? Murphy is aggressively barking at the same time. You hear a big thud and loud at this noise. You hear a big thud and you hear a big thud around this time, noise, barking, and some female talking. At 4:27 in the morning and 11 seconds, Dylan Mortensen has an outgoing call. Now, I know a lot of Dylan Mortensen's phone records were just released the other day. With this new information, I put in what I could, but I didn't want to take even longer. So if we know exactly who that was, we'll go ahead and just add it into the timeline. So it's not her roommate. So at 4:27, Dylan Mortensen is so scared for her fucking life, she has an outgoing call. She will have an outgoing message on Snapchat and then another outgoing message on Snapchat. She is so kind that after that, then she's going to call Kaylee at 4:27. That's all at 4:27.